Live tonight on American Zombie. Like to say what's up. Let me fix the avatar here. Got the link pinned to the top of the chat. Time. Is time speeding up? People that get older realize that it's not a constant. When we were younger, man, an hour seemed like a long time. Then as we get older, working, you start to be like, man, just to get from Monday to Friday seems like a long time. But as you age, the months go by quicker, the years start to speed up, and then the decades become self evident, making you really understand, if you're aware enough to think about it, what time is, how it's relevant, how does it change, especially now we're in a new year. It's already 3 days in. Time ain't slowing down. We're on the 3rd, January 2026. It seems like just the other day it was 2020 and everybody was planning around Magic Potion. People have forgotten that. It's been 25 years, a quarter of a century since 9/11. That is crazy. Mr. X, good to see you, brother. Always, bro. Says, hey, MD. All right, you feeling better now? Getting better? Yeah, man. Hopefully you'll feel better soon, brother. It's always a pleasure, and anytime, man, anytime. It's always a pleasure. Got to feel better. When you feel better, you hop on. Um, yeah, man. The whole paradox on time. What I realize is if you can go back and do certain things, you might choose to like care about people more. Say, man, these moments are precious, especially when we look back at moments that has passed and what is like really going on. We have gone so forward into the future quickly that it seems like we've almost forgotten our way, where we came from, what we're about. I mean, this is on it's went into overdrive basically. And I like the technology and stuff. It's wonderful. It's just that people need to understand where this stuff is coming from, what it's doing to us. Like with the phone numbers, we can all see that can remember phone numbers. We had the ability, and we still have the ability to remember numbers. But isn't it odd how nature has a way, or existence has a way of, when we don't use something, we just conveniently, it dissipates, it slides away. That's what they try to say about um, evolution and stuff. Oh, you don't use it, it goes away. That's why the appendix and the tonsils, but that was seen to be a wrong answer. Again, people trying to explain everything when these things have a very important purpose. Calix, good to see you, brother. Always. Cheers, bro. Yeah, man. Everything has a purpose. Every meeting. So everything physically has a purpose, but also every time we meet somebody, we talk. It's not a coincidence like that certain people meet each other online, that sometimes we just happen to turn on something and hear it at a time that there's just no way we could have planned that. To say, look, I heard exactly what I needed to hear. Kind of like when Morpheus told Neo wanted to talk to him, like, yo, man, the Oracle. He's like, listen, what she told you was meant for you to hear. Mr. X, bro, good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, MD. Yeah, I'm just recovering. I don't want to get into too much detail about it. Let's just say I've been really out of commission. Had to, not even been at home. I've been really out of commission, but I'm feeling better and things are looking better now. So, but yeah, I just want to hop on because I know I missed a lot of streams, unfortunately, but it sounds like a good, luckily I'm getting better just at the right time because time is a very interesting subject. It's something I have a lot of interest in. I definitely think it's a worthy discussion. And I've read that time is supposedly that fourth dimension. That that's what I read. That is, the third was linked with height, and then time is the fourth. So it's definitely an issue. It's people don't take it really. They just think time goes forward and that's it. But it's relative and it's an issue and it's something we're going to deal with. Maybe not in this life, but in the afterlife. Oh, hold on.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Time is it's an amazing thing when we think of how time, space, and matter all work together. And that's
Give me a
just
few
the
minutes.
physical. Uh-huh. What was that? It's it's just the physical. You know, time, space, matter can still be looked at as physical things where we still have the consciousness aspect to all of this to say, okay, time, space, and matter is where it is, when it is, and how is to say, okay, the space, it exists, the matter exists, you know, what it is that exists in a space at a certain time. And yeah, what is that forward movement? Can it be manipulated? Brother Arabian, good for the thank you, brother, for the support, man. I appreciate it, man. Brother Ali says manifestation works in everyday situations. It absolutely does, bro. Absolutely. The mental power that we have, that something is always trying to tell us that it doesn't exist, is proven time and time again. The way we meet each other, the way we will just be thinking about something and somebody else mentions it or somebody calls. I think it was Rupert Sheldrake. He does good research on morphogenic fields, on how we put out these fields that go further from our body, like our heart field, our mental fields. We can morph basically time and space. It just I think it's morphic resonance. Sometimes he calls it the controversial theory. Rupert Sheldrake, man, he definitely tries to drop it. I think he stays in the safe space of evolution. I mean, the evolution zombies are so like, I mean, they are straight witch hunting for anybody that tries to think in the direction of something that's not purely physical. They just they come out of the woodwork. And every time I look up a lot of these so-called ancient ape men and cavemen, it's just fraud after fraud. And that's the thing, to be able to detect that, because if you can't, you can talk to somebody as much as you want to about a certain subject, they're just going to revert back into the laws of stupidity, basically. And this is not saying anything degrading. Remember, stupid is defined as somebody who will genuinely try to help you, but they'll stumble, they'll drop the grenade. You know they're on your side, but it's more dangerous that they are. That's how dangerous the laws, that's how real the laws are, and that we always underestimate this, and that for us not to act in that manner, to say, am I acting in a way that, if I'm trying to help somebody, is it benefiting them, or could I accidentally make it worse? Because that would be analyzing our behavior to say, okay, I don't want to act in a stupid manner, or a manner that's not just unproductive, but also detrimental to somebody else, that not that I'm trying to be detrimental to, but somebody that I'm trying to be helpful to. That's the problem. So this is serious, take serious thought. You know, I mean, when somebody thinks they're helping somebody and they're not, it goes back to that old saying, kindly, you know, the monkey tells the fish, you know, kindly let me help you from drowning, as the monkey puts the fish in the tree. Meanwhile, the fish wasn't drowning. The fish was in the exact environment that the fish needed to be in. But the monkey, again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. He's paving the road for the fish by putting him in the tree, and for himself in a way. It's like, look, people will resent you for that because you think you're helping the fish. You're hurting the fish. And also, when we look at other people that play the monkey, they think they're actually helping. They're like, hey, I'm helping you. You know, the fish in the tree, the fish belongs in the water. Mr. X, brother, thank you for the support, man. Always appreciate it.
Always, always glad to be here and glad to give support.
Yeah, man. The fish, the tree, the monkey. Alan
Hmm.
Watt brought that to light really good, because when we look at that, sometimes people will say, you know, um, let's help that person. Let's 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 do something for that person in a genuine manner. And this is where most people will look at it and say, well, no, what I'm doing, I know it's helping that person. This is what the person would want. And that does
Hmm.
happen in a lot of instances. But we know that there are those instances where people will do something and it's like, oh my goodness, that just totally, like, accidents happen. And
Hmm.
when we open ourselves to that, like tanking oil across the ocean,
Sure.
okay, nobody's trying to spill the oil into the ocean. But when that does happen, I mean, it produces really, really big problems. And we should say to ourselves that, this really needs to be put in a way that is, that that can be contained in case of emergency, because it really does come down to stupidity. Like if
Hmm.
somebody looks at that and they say, well, it was a mistake, or it's like, listen, this was a stupid mistake that could have been avoided if people weren't doing, okay, you really were trying to get the oil across to the ocean, but the ignorance of ignoring certain things, of making sure, like, look, you just got to stay sober for these couple of hours to get this massive shipment of toxic liquid, some people might call it, in my opinion, or basically something that's dangerous if it gets spilled into the environment. We saw what happened in Alaska. um,
Hmm.
and it was all, see, they might not, people might inaccurately, and I think they do, attribute that to maybe even something malicious, or just say it's negligent, which is saying, okay, he was just drunk, whatever. But really, if you look at it, this is how dangerous stupidity is. It's
Right.
extremely dangerous, because the guy did not mean to purposely hurt anybody. And this is how this type of behavior can be disastrous, which is the final law of stupidity, the fifth law so far, is that it's the most dangerous people. The
That's
most,
why I embrace technology, MD. I really do. We need it to avoid the stupidity of, it's unavoidable because it's going to keep happening. If you can increase the technology and the accountability and the cameras, hey, this guy's drunk or he's steering off course.
mm,
That's the only solution to this. I mean, yeah. I think that's why I embrace technology.
yeah.
It'll make us a safer place.
I
I
mean,
didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
no, no, no. I mean, you know better than most that you see how important it is for somebody to be serious on, like, when they're administering what you need, right?
mhm,
If
right.
that person, not meaning to do it, but if they do something stupid, it costs people patience,
Yes.
their lives. So this is where people need to be very, very important to say, look, this is not a joking matter. We're not trying to be mean, or push ourselves on people. We're saying, listen, the dosage and these certain things that are being created need to be specifically, you must pay attention to detail, because
Mhm.
any little problem with this could result in these serious problems. So this is why we're emphasizing, we're reminding. They used to do that in the military a lot, because they knew how the laws of stupidity, they understood it, like, wait a second. And we don't have much time. That's the crazy thing.
Exactly.
We think we have time, but we don't. And it's like, every day, it's like, whoa, this is not, if I could go back, I mean, I would care so much more. I see how golden the moments are. I mean, they're so precious. Every single moment that passes, it's like, holy smokes, what is this thing that we're passing through called time, and we're seeing the past being created. So what is the future? What is this future that I'm moving through? That
Hmm.
it seems like I'm moving toward it somehow, but is it already there? Is it already there? So, kind of like how we can move forward through a lake into the water to get to the other side? Are we moving through the lake of time like that? Like we're moving forward, but I don't have to move physically to move forward. That's the amazing thing. This
And you said
river,
something important there, about understanding the preciousness of the moment. That's a real thing. But that's a knowledge that can only be gained through experience. There's no scientific formula to gain that type of knowledge. What the preciousness of life, how valuable it is, and how you don't realize that when you're younger, of time. And if you were younger, and I'm not saying you didn't, or you did, or myself, I'd include myself in this too. Like if you meet somebody who's older but wise, they would be able to relay that type of information about time. You know what I mean? In a certain way to make you appreciate it as a younger person. But unless there's older, wiser people that, and emphasize wise because there's plenty of older people that aren't wise, you don't get that information. But that's where it comes from. Is just there's a whole branch of knowledge known as life experience that is not rational, logical, and can't be formulated. It's not scientific, but it's real and it's a part of our life. It's part of our reality.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of secret consciousness. Good to see you, man. Salute, guy of the sage. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Meeks TV. Yeah, it's like humans got to be real careful with it. Kind of like the Prometheus thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, very, very careful. Makes you wonder: do we even have the capability of using it correctly? Yeah,
Well, I mean, since they invented the gun, that's technology. So it's always, you know what I mean? However you want to look at it. Um, yeah, there's been so many accidents, so many things go wrong in the beginning stages. I remember hearing the one story about Eastern Airlines, that flight that crashed into the Everglades and killed everybody, and it was because the pilot just he hit the steering position column without even noticing it, and it was so pitch black dark he couldn't tell his altitude, and that's how they just ended up going straight into the Everglades and crashing without even noticing. But with technology and sonar and so forth, that probably would have happened. But so those accidents tend not to happen today because there is technology to avoid those type of crashes, whereas there weren't, 40 years ago. So I don't know. I think people are just looking at it from let's not look at it from a Hollywood aspect. Technology got so advanced, it became evil, it became this thing we can't control anymore. You know what I mean? Uh, I think there'll be a balance to everything, but I don't think it'll be that bad. All right, taking a break there, MD?
oh yeah, no, I had it on mute by accident. I was talking.
Oh,
you
you're
know, I
talking.
was talking and I'm saying, how is he not hearing me? Um,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, I was saying that, technology, I wonder, it's like some of the technology, you wonder, is it being given to us? Is it, we know how to manipulate technology
Hmm.
if we were to find it or something. But some of the stuff we have, it's like something behind the scenes, man. Um,
Yeah.
Professor Meeks TV says, Mr. X, do you feel technology can atrophy the brain and make us more lazy?
Hmm. Good question. I definitely think technology has shortened our attention spans. That's for sure. Um, I can't, I was where I am right now. I won't say I'm not, but they only have limited channels on this TV, and there was one of these old movies that were on. I guess back in the day that was entertaining, but for me, I don't have the attention span anymore. I need more things to happen at a faster rate. So yeah, no, but I guess, I'm long-winded here, but yeah, I definitely think it makes us more lazy. I mean, sometimes when I feel like I have to do an extra search or do an extra setting on something, I say, oh, I gotta go through this again. But it's like, wow, that's really not that hard. You know what I mean? It's just, and I'm somebody from the 80s when things were a lot harder. But yeah, I think it does make us a little more complacent, lazy, and we just, we live in a different world without even realizing it. And things that are really not that stressful to do, we think are stressful. Um, so yeah, I'll say that technology definitely makes us lazy. I definitely will say that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree that to an extent, like especially with remembering phone numbers, when we see that we don't need it, it kind of just conveniently disappears.
Hmm.
And it makes me wonder, like, okay, that shows us that we can condition ourselves to grow into something that we wouldn't even imagine right now what we would be. Like when we were remembering telephone numbers, we wouldn't really be thinking at that point about something that would make us lose our ability to remember these numbers.
Yes.
And that thing just happened to come into being. So it's like just the way the typewriter is slowly but surely eliminating the need to physically write something. It just it's become so everywhere to where it's just like if anything somebody wants to type in, they'll just type it into their phone or their pad. So now the physical pen and paper is just it's very rarely required.
Sure. I've looked at documents from just the earliest 20th century, forget before then, and the handwriting looks so much different. You know what I mean? It's much more the cursive and everything was much more refined.
Mhm.
It's like we don't write like that anymore. You don't see that kind of writing that much.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder. It's like so much things now. Cursive is basically on its way just to being like a
Hmm.
memory, and kind of
Yes.
like Brave New World with the languages getting less and less and using one universal language while the other ones there's no need to really use them anymore. So we can see how this can also happen very easily with language that I think Face was talking about it years ago. He said German, most of the younger German people all speak English. So
Yeah.
when you have everybody speaking English that would be speaking German, um, eventually it will become unnecessary to know how to speak German because if you speak English, you can speak with anybody. And then that will makes the speaking of German less and less. I've noticed this in Amsterdam with Dutch. Everybody speaks English. If they see that you're even struggling a little bit with speaking Dutch, they just speak English to you. They
Mhm.
don't even try to teach you or anything, which I can understand why. It's just like, look, we don't have time. And
Right.
that's, when I look at that, I say, yeah, this is a mature thing. This is not somebody trying to be selfish or, they're doing the things like, no, they're actually being mature, saying, look, don't spend, don't be childish. We don't have a lot of time. Before you know it, this experience is gone. We're at the edge of the experience and we're about to go into the next, which nobody really wants to talk about. The next is like almost non-existent, that conversation, just almost as much as um the origins, because people just want this they want this fairy tale that they can go to sleep and say, okay, that's how we got here. And um you know they don't even most of the time think about why we're here, and then we know we're
Yeah.
definitely going somewhere. So but none of that seems to really matter, and that's what makes me wonder. It's like, look, these are extremely important questions to me that nobody seems to care about. And when it gets to the point, you see people on that last part, and it can get kind of like concerning. Some might look at it as frightening, but to me it's very concerning to say, okay, where are we going? Where's that person going? I love this person. Where are they going?
Right.
And this is just not really spoken about a lot. It's always some belief, oh, and that's where the mental illness, I have to realize when people come in with the belief, and I'm like, look, I don't want to sit here, and a belief again is the band-aid.
Mhm.
It's the band-aid, like, oh yeah, it's going to be, they're going here, and it's like, well, how do we know? How do we know? And how do we know with the time thing how much time we got? Because we think we got time. You got people, next thing you know, you say, wow, that person just ended. You see it with the actors. I've noticed this a lot with actors. I mean, who would have thought Michael Jackson and Prince are going to be ended in the same year, or like
Yeah.
very close to each other? I mean, those are big. I mean, super big. The same thing with the Hendrix and the Joplin and the Jim Morrison, all in the same thing.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then opening the door for Led Zeppelin to come in, because Led Zeppelin would have had a hard time breaking in with those three there. Those are giants: Hendrix, Morrison, Joplin. You had a few others. Uh, but yeah, the Stones were more like the not full grunge, but they were more grungier than the Beatles. So you had
Hmm.
your clean cut, or if you want your grungy, and then if you want your real grungy, you go into Led Zeppelin. If you want your you know total getting into, it's more, even though Led Zeppelin were English, they had a very American feel to them. I noticed.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, yeah. Because Rolling Stones still had that English feel. Like even though they were rocking, you knew the way they're like, okay, these guys, I could see the British kind of thing. The Beatles definitely, but Led Zeppelin felt like a Harley Davidson Midwest American band. Kind of like Van Halen. They say was from I think like Nebraska or something like that, Mammoth or something, Nebraska or North Dakota or something like that. And again, when I think about it, the whole nepotism, who knows? Um, yeah, 2016 BP, it says a lot of famous people ended. Let me see. 20,
Heath Ledger. Did Heath Ledger end up that year?
oh, in 2016?
Yeah. No, he died real early. Shame. Good actor.
Yeah, he was a really good actor. Oh, wow. Yeah. David Bowie, Prince, George Michael. Holy smokes. Alan Rickman. I think that was the guy from Die Hard. Um, Gene Wilder. Wow. Carrie Fisher. Muhammad Ali. Nancy Reagan. Wow. And Bowie was 69. The fact George Michael, oh, I mean, it's just crazy when you think about it.
Mhm.
It's like, wow. And then the guy who played Chekhov from the new uh, Star Trek, Zsa Zsa Gabor. Holy smokes. Arnold Palmer. When you think about it, because we're both from the same generation, and we say, wow, all of these people that were put there to keep us brainwashed are now starting to pass into the next. And it's like it kind of maybe in a way lets us shake off a little bit of the illusion. We say, wow, and a bit of nostalgia is still there.
But there's a day of reckoning. I mean, when the final days come, and it happens for every single one of us on this planet. I don't know. It's just the day of reckoning comes. That's all I'm saying.
So what happens after that?
That's subject to interpretation. Now, do I believe it's the end? No. Could I say exactly what it is? No. But there's something after that for sure. I believe
Mhm.
that. That's my belief. Now, I stress belief. I never claimed that it's scientific, but like I say, not all reality is scientific. If you think all reality is scientific, you're wrong. It's not.
Mhm.
That can be proven
Mhm.
because no matter which origin explanation you have, it all ends up at a supernatural beginning. It ends up as a poof magic. It really does.
Mhm.
It's not all naturalistic. It has to. Either position you take.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, but it's that day of reckoning. Being the state that I was in. I don't know. When my day comes, I wish it would be fast, though. That's what I think. I would hate for it to be slow. I think that would be the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to just be done like in a blink of an eye and not have to think about it. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't even know it. You know?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Like, what do they call sleep? The little
Yeah.
death.
Just
Um,
something quick.
yeah, sleep is like you wonder, is it what is it? BP, it says when you get older, time is going faster and faster. It really does. It really does
Yeah.
seem like it's going faster as we're
Everybody
almost
says that.
done.
Everybody.
Hello, MD. Hello, Mr. X.
How's everything?
How you doing?
Fine, fine.
Yeah, Ledger passed in '08. It's saying here. And Kobe Bryant was 2020. The weird, yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on when I think about it. It's like 2015. Yeah, you had a lot of the Wes Craven. Wow, horror director. Wow, that is something. The fact that Wes Craven.
MD,
Uh huh.
don't you feel like time is passing by very fast? Like days pass by like seconds, and even I've talked to many people. They've said the same thing. When I went actually to this place called Manasa Lightage Foundation, they said that the scientist or the seer Vishwamitra, he's altered something called the Shaishumara Chakra, and the Earth is spinning faster, and time is going by very fast, and days seem to go by like seconds because of that. Actually,
Mm. I mean, I think as we change in age, uh, there's a different thing that happens to where um, it feels like however old we are, we got to remember that we're moving through time, and as we move through time, time is starting to change. So it's really amazing. It's like we would think that, okay, we're changing and time is still. No, time is changing as well. And as we get older,
yeah,
time just seems to move quicker for some reason.
yeah.
Or maybe we're seeing it in a different way. What exactly we try to figure out what is going on.
I mean, something came to me. Can I comment on that real quick?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Maybe. Okay. Now, this is, of course, if you believe in a soul, a spirit, let's just say, and it's contained within this physical vessel, this physical, natural, material vessel, but your immaterial soul is in there. But as we age, is it possible that our soul, it's still within our body, but it's rising. It's basically it's elevating itself closer to that next dimension or that next life as this body ages. Like little by little, it gets closer and closer. And at that other dimension, if you want to call it, time is moving much faster. So that as we physically age, is what I'm saying is it goes so slow when we're babies, but then it
Mhm.
speeds up so fast as we become older and older adults. And it might be just our soul is reaching elevated planes within our body of closer to that other side where time moves much faster. Or there is no time, you could say.
For the soul, there's no time because like it's a supernatural ethereal being. Once
Hmm.
the physical body dies, when the soul comes out, you drop out of space and time
But
until
I'm
you get a
saying,
body again.
but we're talking about here on
uh
Earth. Maybe it's separating
yeah,
from our
that's what
physical here on Earth.
Yeah,
little
for
by
a soul,
little.
actually, time. Yeah, for the soul, time doesn't exist. Spirits actually, when they die and they come out of the body, they drop out of space and time. Only for human beings, actually, time exists. For mortal beings.
Right, but our soul is contained in our mortal being while we're here on
Yeah,
earth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm
Only for the
saying. So
physical
as we
body.
age,
Yeah,
no,
the
I know
soul
the
doesn't
soul
age.
won't change.
Yeah.
But why would our physical body be experiencing time faster though? That's the question. Our physical body is experiencing faster. Maybe because our soul is elevating itself away from our physical body as we age.
There is this seer actually called Vishwamitra Rishi. He's done
Hmm.
something with the Shaishumara chakra. He's altered it in such a way that days go by like seconds. So this Shaishumara chakra is like some important device that protects the earth from psychological attacks and psychic attacks as well. So he's altered it in such a way that time is going very fast. It's something supernatural only what is done, because when I was young, I remember it would take a longer time for afternoon to come and for evening to come. Now everything is going by so fast actually.
Yeah,
Mm.
we do see that. It says here Prince was 57. Michael Jackson was 50. They were the same age, I think. And they're saying Michael Jackson passed in '09. So 7 years before. And this is weird because you got guys like Keith Richards and all these guys that have been abusing certain substances from what they say. And they're just walking around like I don't get it. Something is very odd. Especially with Michael Jackson's one. They're saying that his was also um some type of um problem. Uh, they're saying it could be cardiac,
Mm.
some type of propofol. His physician, who was later convicted of involuntary, wow, his unexpected death led to global. That's something. I wonder if he got in trouble because convicted doesn't always mean trouble. We see that with the president's massive amounts of stuff that no penalty, nothing. It just doesn't make sense. It does make sense when you look at it from a corruption side. Then it makes total sense, actually. Yeah, his physician administered what they say is a fatal dose at Los Angeles at Jackson's home as he prepared for his This Is It comeback concerts. He served 2 years of a 4-year sentence. Wow, for ending MJ. The news, so they say, basically. The news caused widespread shock and grief. Wow, this is crazy. The impact. His music sales soared. Wow, they are. That's so brutal, man. But it is a question. It is a question. He was uh he was back in the day. That was the Brooke Shields day. She changed a lot today. That's crazy. That's brutal. Wow. That's definitely brutal. I don't know what happened. It's like what Hollywood, that's what happened. Basically, yeah, Hollywood will do it to you. Yeah, that's guy says that's what psychedelics Oh man. His doc confirmed with G33. Wow. Wow. You mean Sony Stein. Um wow, they say something with Sony, huh? Let me look up see if they said his doctor, very surprised that his doctor even got time. 2 years out of 4 years. I'm not seeing the name. Oh, Conrad Murray. That's what I think it says Jackson's doctor was. Yeah, they definitely it depends. Yeah, there's some of them they have stay alive longer. Who knows? I mean, definitely celebrities is some, I mean, that's a whole other level of who knows. And you know what the weird thing is, on the same day as Michael Jackson, it was Farrah Fawcett too. So
Mm.
both of them, that's kind of odd to have two people, and it's understandable from the same era about, even though she was older. She was from an older era. She was 62, he was 50. Both were major cultural figures. Yeah, they were trying to push Farrah hard. And she wasn't really you know, just to each his own, basically. Um, but they're saying she was battling health ailments. Yeah, this is oh, they're trying to say Jackson was going through some sleep problems before it happened. Yeah, they were all sus. All of them, man. All of them were yeah, this yeah, this is kind of odd. Yeah, man. Yeah, time definitely speeding up. It's not the same as when you were a kid. Like, didn't time seem longer or slower to move by when you were
I think
younger?
it did. I believe it did. A month was like a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember a month being a big deal. Now, like a month feels like a day, in comparison to
I
when.
Yeah,
remember hours within the day would take forever.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
It's like then next thing you know, it was like, okay, it took a while to get from Monday to Friday, but then Monday and Friday started going quicker. And then the months started,
correct.
next thing you know, it was like, oh, seasons are passing quicker. And you don't notice it at first. You don't realize it. Then it starts going even quicker than that. Next thing you know, whoa, a whole decade passed. And that's when about the time where some people still don't notice it. But when
Hmm.
another decade passed, that's when you're like, yo, it's been not 10 years, but 20 years. And then 30 years. It's like, it really, when you look at people who are older, you can learn a lot from them just listening to some of the
Hmm.
stuff they say.
But don't you feel like the decades are a little different now that we hit the turn of the century? I mean, you look at the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, very different decades. The cultural shifts, everything was so different, dramatic changes. Now it doesn't seem like anything changes. It just kind of moves faster. But nothing really changes. Like early 2000s, I mean, yeah, the technology's changed, but I'm saying as a culture, the people, you know what I'm saying, haven't really changed that much.
Yeah, I've noticed
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that time, the decades, the definitely the break of the millennia.
Yes.
There was the golden age, though, the golden age of the internet, I would say, was like around 2004 to like 2014. I mean, it's still good now, these last 10 years, but it has, I guess we'll see. It could go into a next direction with the AI and stuff like that. Who knows?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a whole other thing to say, okay, what is that? Yeah, really makes me wonder, like, man, this is something. It really, yeah, man. BP, he says, when you reach 40, you feel it. Brother, you ain't lying. And yeah, summer breaks would feel like years. Yeah, yeah, man. It would feel oh, Costa Robbins keeping it real, man. Yeah, yeah. No, they definitely, they be wanting stuff. Yeah, they keeping stuff away. Yeah. So, Guy is saying that when you're younger, a month is more. So maybe math. So you're saying that it's math, or maybe something with consciousness. Maybe,
That's what I was thinking. Consciousness. Yeah.
yeah, or maybe it's like getting used to something. Like it becomes routine. So now the day goes quicker. I know one thing for sure: when you're into stuff, time goes quicker. When you got kids, time goes quick.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no doubt about that. Like I've seen my nephews and them. You see people grow. You see uncles and aunts pass and start to be like, whoa, these people, where are these people? And that's where we start to contemplate, like, what is this that I'm actually in? There could be a
Hmm.
time, it's kind of like, if we look at it like, okay, Spicoli. Spicoli was a cool character, man. He would come, talk, and everything. And now, where is Spicoli, basically?
Yeah.
So it's to appreciate the person when they were there. There was a few people that ain't here now, but look, Samuels was here doing this thing. Spicoli, I think was cool in a way because he was just a regular person, and he would
Hmm.
come on, he would talk. I thought he would, honestly, I got the vibe from him that he would live for a long time because I just felt that the way he didn't care. Usually, you got people, they got what they call like those powers of that defy, to where death itself is scared to take them, basically. Like
Hmm.
they just doing their thing. You see guys carrying a refrigerator on a bicycle. Like, man, people do some amazing stuff. Ingenuity, it just it really makes me wonder. Really makes me wonder when I look at how some people just live life, and then you say to yourself like, wow, until we sit and contemplate and we say, wow, that could end at any moment. How do we
Yep.
even know? How does that happen? This guy could be carrying this thing across the street. A car could come, or it could just go according to plan, and then he gets it safely to the destination, continues the day. What is it? Is it predestined somehow? Can we shift it? If we can, how much can we shift it? So this is the questions that I think they don't want people to really ask, because we don't really hear too many people talking about it too. These are, in a way, forbidden questions. The thought police have been here since we were kids. Anybody who's ever tried to divert you, and that's where the laws of stupidity come in, because the person might honestly think that they're not trying to divert you. They just might be so at a point where they don't even know, like this guy said he had a dog. Whenever he tried to swim in the lake, the dog would come in, and putting its paws all over it uh, would cause him to have to leave the water, because the dog would basically be almost like keeping him, you know, uh, preventing him from staying afloat. And then he had a pig that was smart enough that whenever it saw him in the lake and saw the dog coming to try to, jump on him, the pig would swim in the way and move the dog out the way so the boy could swim, showing how the dog, even though the dog might not have been purposely trying to keep the boy under, but panicking maybe, and that's why he's putting his paws all over him, making it harder for the boy to stay afloat. That's the laws of stupidity. The person not even knowing that they're causing that to you, thinking that they're helping, even worse. And you're the one that's not benefiting from it, saying, wow, this person is more dangerous than somebody who's maliciously evil, because the person who's maliciously evil will try to hide it, or you put it in a way where you don't know it's them, so they're going to be more careful. The stupid person's going to blatantly just drop the grenade right there. Oops, and then boom, much more
Right.
dangerous than the enemy. And it's hard to see because somebody would say, well, what do you mean? Of course, the enemy is more dangerous. And it's like, not necessarily. You know, the enemy is dangerous, but what is even more dangerous than that is the unforeseen danger in the person who is stupid. When once again, it's not saying anything in that's degrading or anything. No, it's saying that a person doesn't know that they're dangerous, that they're I don't even know if it can be called ignorance, unawareness, but basically stupidity, again, causing harm to somebody with no benefit to yourself. So it's not like you're see an evil person or a bandit, what they would call benefits from harm or a loss that somebody else's incurs. An intelligent person prevents you from getting that loss and prevents themselves from incurring any problems. The helpless person will save you from the problem, but they might actually incur a cost or damage to themselves. So they're helping a person at their own expense. The stupid person is thinks they're helping a person, causes the opposite effect with no benefit or loss of benefit to themselves. But it's not like something that they would be doing it for a benefit, which is what a bandit would be doing, trying to get you to take a loss so they could benefit. The stupid person is not doing that. They're just doing it from pure, like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? They don't know. And even if you try to educate them, can you? Can you? It's like you see the example better in the dog with the boy swimming. It's like the dog might not, you say, can you educate the dog? It's like there should be a way. Maybe we don't understand how to do it. How do you educate? I think this is Jose.
Yo, what's up, brothers? How y'all doing tonight, man?
Hello,
Hey, Jose.
hello,
Hey,
Jose.
Mr. X, man. How you feeling, Mr. X? You said you were feeling sick a little bit, maybe
Yeah, I
last
was a
week.
little out of it, but it seems like it's getting better now, so I should be good. Back to
No, I'm
normal,
glad to
back
hear
to
that,
normal.
man. MD, you sound exhausted, brother. You've been streaming literally like how long has it been now? Like, I didn't even keep track of like how long your streak has been going.
Yeah, it's been about a good 20 days. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's impressive, man.
I
Give me
think
one
like,
second. I got my phone out.
yeah, yeah. Everything all right? I hear there's some traffic you're in or something, Jose.
Yeah, no, I'm outside and the freaking plane right over the house and stuff. You already know. So I was like, I'm gonna, have that background. Yeah, man. No, you guys been, doing talking about this stuff and the time. And, time. I don't know, man. I think there's a reality to life that as we all have aged, because I know I realize it myself. Now in my mid 30s, like looking back, like when I was like literally even 18, and just thinking when I was even 18, I'm like, hey, I remember having that thought. I was like, the other day it felt like I was like 10 or 11, and now I'm, 18-year old, becoming a man, and then bam, next thing you know, it's like the snap of a finger. It's like all my 20s and the early 30s are just like behind me too, and it just seems that maybe the construct of time is the reality that as people we don't understand how valuable time just really is because until you start getting older, that's when you understand, like, yo, like, eventually, you, you see those really old people, and then, I don't know if nobody here takes any offense to that. I'm just saying, you see someone who's actually like much older in front of you, and you're like, wow, like one day I will. I mean, if I'm lucky enough, of course, like, goodness willing, I'll be there. I'll be there, and then you're like, wow, like the spring, the beauty of the time of youth in people's lives. I feel like is what makes everybody feel like time is like almost like it's indefinite. Like, oh, I've got my whole life in front of me. It's like, oh, really? Next thing you know, it's like, well, hey, the life that you thought you had in front of you, it's here right now, and like what's going on, type of thing. I don't know, man. I see it that way. I get mute up again and the plane coming.
I hear you.
Yeah, as a
Mr.
parent,
X?
I'm shocked about my kid. Just the other day, she was a baby. When you have a kid, that's where you really see the time flies. Because well, I know you experienced it with your some of your family members, MD. But yeah, just the other day, she was a baby to me, and now she's a grown adult. But I don't see that. You know what I mean? I still see her as a kid. So but yeah. So yeah, being a parent definitely time you see time even in a faster mode for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we all go through the fact of we just feel like we've all aged, and we didn't see ourselves age until you really see it. Like one day you wake up and I mean, you remember, you have the memory to say, you look back and you're like, I was a child, an adolescent, an adult, grown adult, growing into an adult. And then you get to that point that you realize you're older. I think that's what shocked Jake and made him a simp. And at this point, I just think that he has a lot of issues he doesn't deal with, the right way. That then that's why his ways of just acting out and stuff. You grow older and you observe the way people handle situations, and that teaches. If you can learn from somebody else the way that they act correctly or incorrectly, it just benefits you. And you just realize that, look, there nobody can really prepare, I think, any of us until, or just really unless you really feel a sense of accomplishment with where you're at with your life at any point. So if any, younger adults and growing adults like hear that, it's just you will understand that one day you will look at life and ponder like at almost like a fork in the road, but not really, because you'll say, all I'm gonna do is keep going forward and getting older. There's not gonna be like a change of like, oh, I'll still stay the same age or get younger. It's like, no, everybody moves forward closer to the end.
But
That's right.
Jose,
Yeah.
like at least to be honest, we have to be very objective also over here. You were talking about it in the metaphorical sense, but objectively speaking, something is wrong actually. Days are passing by very quickly. Like you can say that when you're old, you can feel time pass by very quickly, but it's literally passing by very quickly. Actually, something is wrong. Even the Earth spinning on its axis, it's going so fast. Scientists have said that we may have to remove a few seconds from the 24 hours thing.
I mean, as Varun, I
Some
mean, okay, if that's true, a couple seconds isn't really gonna make that much of a difference. And can we really trust anyone telling us that the Earth is on an axis and the Earth, right? The thing that we do here, right, that MD allows us to do, to literally question everything and to like, and really say like, okay, do we know for certain the world is on an axis? Do we know for certain there's 24 hours even in a day? I mean, you look at all that, but one thing we can do is we can observe the reality that we're in, and it's
but
something that I just think we all. No, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, but
Go ahead.
Jose, I do astrology, and for astrology, astronomy is very, very important. So, if you don't get your astronomical predictions correctly, you won't be much of an astrologer. So, let's say you want to predict someone's fate, you have to study time correctly. So, the data that's given over here is quite accurate for helping in the astrological predictions. So, like when I shouldn't brag about this, but I'm just saying there was some accuracy when Mr. X's daughter gave me her horoscope, when Lasagna gave me his horoscope. So I had to take into consideration the astronomical aspect, which takes into consideration the Earth being spinning on its axis. All these factors are valid actually. Otherwise, my predictions won't come correctly only, or anyone else's predictions won't come correctly. I'm not trying to say this by because I'm trying to brag over here. I'm just saying that these things are real for sure. Not everything that's being given out over there is false.
No, no, like Ezra, look, I can't stand here and tell you that the stuff that you're saying is either true or not true. I'd have to understand
Yeah.
whatever process. You'd have to explain, and it'd be a whole thing. Maybe, as a rune, if you're very adamant about astrology, whether or not it is either true or not true, the study of it, if you did it as a channel, because it seems like you're very passionate about it. I'm surprised I'm getting this many planes right now. Give me a second. Yeah, it kind of is unreal actually, because like around this time, and they usually don't come over so much towards my neighborhood, which is interesting. They're usually more towards like away, but whatever reason, like tonight, it just seems like. And then I wanted to bring up, and like I said, Asroom, by the way, if you do a channel, man, and because astrology seems to be something that you're actually very passionate about, like as a study stuff, you'll definitely I'm sure at some point grow big enough and that you will be, and I'm sure there's like a lot of that on YouTube itself. So I mean, I guess I could look into it as well if you, especially if you actually did start a channel, just to understand a little bit what that actually is. Because my understanding is something that it does have to do with the constellations or space and stuff. I'm just like, and how can we really say we understand that? Like so that if you did that and you broke it down on the channel to kind of like go like okay, like so for people who are beginners or novices that don't know anything about this, then it'd be interesting. But I just wanted to really quickly ask either MD or Mr. X, what their thoughts were about what the news was today about the USA taking over Venezuela, basically. I don't know if you guys had any chance to like mention anything of that, or if either it looks like Mr. X or MD or just
They're
like
taking over the oil. I mean, I'll just say real briefly, that's the first thing on the agenda. Trump said it. The
uh-huh,
American company's going to take over oil production immediately.
uh-huh, yeah,
So
yeah,
basically, they're going to be running Venezuela. They're going to be in
uh-huh.
charge of Venezuela.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing how because I saw an article about they were talking about the abduction of the president and the guy's wife, and they were talking
Mhm.
about like some things about like the sending of criminals or drug trafficking boats and all this stuff, and it's the same playbook from what it looks like with the whole 9/11 situation that they made it seem. I mean, they made it seem as if a scenario was happening that X country was committing a crime against us and this and that and the other. So we're just gonna go in and then take them out and all this other stuff. And very hot, obviously a hostile takeover. And it's like, and
Well,
people sit here and not see the fact that the tyranny that was just literally performed.
they
It
were already under a tyranny also with Maduro. And the difference is between this and the Middle East. I don't think the Venezuelan then could put up much of resistance. I don't. At this point, I think they'll be
no,
happy
there is
with
no.
anything.
You're not gonna. Yeah, even the Middle East. I mean, to an extent. I mean, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be
Mm,
surprised if they could obviously hold their own more in terms of but probably
mm,
not. It took longer, and obviously, I think it took like over 10 years or something like that. Whatever, like the
mm.
whole thing over there in the Middle East. But this obviously, yeah. But and then people are just naive. I think people don't understand something that it's so naive to think that there's ever a good guy or a bad guy. They're all bad guys. They're all
Mhm.
bad guys. People like we mentioned before the way that we all bend the knee because no one's really gonna stand up to them. Obviously, like it's
No,
just that's
what are we gonna do? Think about it. What are the, like? I was actually talking to a relative. Said, "Oh, I think relative said the people of Venezuela they're gonna fight the Americans if they start coming in there." Like, no, they're not. They're not gonna do anything. They'll be like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Spend some money, buy some stuff." There's not gonna be any fighting. Are you kidding me? And if there was a fight, it would last what, a few hours best. It'd
mhm,
be one sided completely. It's not the numbers, it's not the people, it's the technology, the weaponry that matters. You know,
exactly,
a handful, 12 men could defeat an army of a million if they have better technology. You know, they just throw the bomb. That's it.
absolutely.
We game over.
And you look at that situation that happened here in the North Americas, and you're like, that's basically what happened.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised, of course, that the European settlers they didn't outnumber the Native Americans, but they didn't have the technology to stop them.
Right.
The European settlers they had guns, so it was what it
Exactly.
was. And at
I'd
the
love to
same
hear
time
MD's opinion too on this. I'd love to hear MD's opinion too. But
about the whole yeah that
Venezuela.
yeah no I that's why the main thing that I actually had to jump off really quickly, but I can be back in like about an hour. I don't know how long because like I said, so I told him I was like, yo, MD, you sound exhausted tonight because I know he's definitely got to be exhausted from doing these streams. Like he said, 20 days in a row or something like that, and I'm just like that's insane of how how much dedication. I give him so much credit for doing that so consistently right now with this channel because obviously like the other channel was great, dating and relations, it's interesting obviously, but I mean we're all like we're all grown to this point that if you don't understand that you'll never make a woman. No guy's purpose in life should be something about like, oh, I spend my day thinking about how I should just make my wife happy. It's like, are you? This is like the ultimate zombie in that regard, basically, because either you know what I mean. Like you have to know, not you can never make anybody else happy. The only person that you could ever make happy, and not even that you would
Mhm.
make yourself happy, would be yourself deciding to say, look, maybe I don't have it all, but I'm good. And when you realize that, you just think to yourself like, wow. And like when you watch now, like so when you go away from, I guess, like societal constraints of the way to see life, and then you start, like doing what we do here about questioning literally everything, to then
Mhm.
understand like, wow, what a deceptive and illusion of a system that we're in, kind of a thing. That's where it's at. But I'll be back if you guys are still on. I'll probably be back within like another hour. But if not, like I'll catch you guys on the
Jose?
next show. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta jump off as I mean, what are you gonna tell me?
Okay, okay. Bye, Jose.
All right, I'll catch you again. If you guys still on, you can tell me. I don't know what it was you're gonna tell me, but just keep that in mind for the next time we talk, guys.
What'd you want to ask him, Ezra?
No, I just wanted to ask him if I thought Jose Marquez might be from Latin America, so I thought he might be more well versed with things like this.
Yeah, I think he's from he's definitely Latin American descent. Not Mexican, but close in the area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Islander type of thing. Parents.
Yeah, but he lives in Miami, so I don't think they're that
Yeah,
involved.
yeah. So you already know it's some connection to one of the countries. Um, so what were you saying about that,
Oh,
Azrun?
oh,
Yeah, like is
No,
that
I
relevant?
wanted I thought he might be knowing more. He might understand Latin American history in the modern sense much better than all of us, because right now Venezuela is under siege, right? So they've captured the Venezuelan president. So he,
Yeah,
being of Latin American descent, I thought he'll know the history better than us to enlighten
yeah,
me about the topic.
yeah. I think he's more north, like closer to Miami, um,
Okay.
Latin America. Scribe being from Panama, he's right there next to Venezuela. So I don't know. Haven't spoke with him uh, earlier, I think, or yesterday. But hopefully, I didn't know if Jose was going to summon him. He sounded like he was veering a little bit toward the
the dating.
the flat type of thing, or the axis. When he was telling Azfarun about the axis and on the Earth.
That should
Yeah,
tell you that there has to be a creator for it to be so precise. Its distance from the sun, and a little farther back we freeze to death. A little closer, we'll burn up. Even the oxygen in the air, it's so precise. What, 21% oxygen? And if it's just a little higher, we'll burn up. You know what I'm saying? A little lower, we'll suffocate. And
well,
I don't know.
I think the oxygen was higher.
Was it
I
higher?
don't think that's like a steady thing. I think that could account for the bigger skeletons. There's a strong possibility there. We'd have to do
Oh, there
more
might have been
tests.
more oxygen earlier in the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I'm just saying it's so precise. It has to remain so precise, otherwise the whole world will come to an end. You know what I mean? It's just,
MD,
yeah.
can I just go have bath and eat breakfast? I'll just come back again within some time.
Yeah, take your time, man. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
take
yeah.
your time.
Thank you, MD. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
it's
Yeah,
coming on
it's
as
definitely
well.
not going to happen by chance. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that they just they're very much in denial, like that channel too that you were saying. They
Oh yeah.
yeah, they really kind of it's like autopilot. They have the same template of let me explain to you, and it's like that's it's hilarious when I think about it. The
And I could do the
evolutionary.
same thing. I could read off. I don't have to even memorize it. I could just, well, if I read it so many times, I'd probably memorize it. But I could read off the evolutionary template too, and say, "Look how smart I am now." You know what I mean? Or come up with
Yeah.
some obscure terminology. I can look it up and say, "Look how smart I am." Because that's the game they play over there.
hmm
You
hmm
know.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah, they kind of that whole template of the evolutionary thing. It's yeah, it's really it starts to make you it makes you it makes you wonder, like, and it's not to say, and this is the thing with the creator thing, it's not saying that it's creator, like me personally looking at it scientifically, it's
Mhm.
not a religious type of creator. It's when you look at some people, it's more comfortable for them to think of alien or without moral or something, but it could be something totally different. Like if you're looking at it from scientific parameters and looking for the amount of different variations of how life could have been created, one of them is random selection. So that's a creation. And to think of people that are supposed to be very advanced mentally or so-called high IQ to be so acting in a manner of low IQ when they call somebody else a creationist when they themselves are a creationist, because
Exactly.
yeah, so that it's such a childish type of thing to say, look, if we really want to figure out where we come from, we're not saying it's religious where one of these religions is totally right. I would say they have little pieces of the puzzle, but those puzzle pieces come from something else that the religion kept stories around. And that is the most valuable thing, kind of like an artifact that is kept in the dirt around it. Not saying the dirt is useless, it's actually important because it preserved what was very important, which is the artifact. And these books preserve certain pieces of knowledge that the dirt that surrounds the artifact is just as important. The letters,
Sure.
and also it gives us if somebody's very very high intelligence, it'll give them a coding as to why people coded this type of knowledge in certain types of wrapped up in certain types of words around it. So if the words are very controlling, like in certain parts of Romans and different books of religious scriptures, we start to see, oh, so something was using, they were turning up the words on controlling people using the religious doctrine as the center of that. And to see just how much controlling words are used in conjunction with the religious passages is showing, like, kind of like how strong a drink is, whether you're going to put more rum and coke, more rum, more coke, more uh of the non-alcoholic drink to dilute it. So if the religious words are very potent and very uh inspiring in a way that could also be inspiring in a violent way, then we see the result that that can have. And looking through these religious books and just understanding how to decipher the difference in those languages and how humans can use a language to control people in that way, to say, oh, we can make them think that this being, that alone shows you the intelligence level, whether it's there or the level, how low or high it is. If you can get somebody to believe certain things, if you can get them to believe something that could happen by chance, but they don't understand the infinitesimal probability of that chance happening. Like to say, okay, do you really think someone could roll a pair of dice and get a 2 and a 7? So not a 3 and a 4, not a 6 and a 1. Has to be a 2 and a 5 to make a 7. So we show that it's very very minimizes the chance now. So you can't just get a 7, you got to get a 5 and a 2. Can't get a 4 and a 3, can't get a 6 and a 1. So what's the chances of rolling that 100 times in a row? Now we're not saying it couldn't happen. The probability is low. What's the chance of rolling that 1,000 times in a row or 10,000? See, now somebody might say, well, nothing's impossible, but there are things that are improbable. And the fact that to roll a 7, right? The roll that, basically to get a 7 with a 5 and a 2 to roll at, to get it 100,000 times in a row, or even a million, which is just freaking ridiculous, shows just how improbable it is for something like a living organism to form by chance, with pieces that work and pieces that don't work, and the pieces that don't work fade away, kind of like when you don't think of phone numbers and you lose the ability. But we don't see that with bodily parts. What we do see is a type of irreducible complexity like Michael Behe, or basically we see items that people are trying to tell us they know what they are, but then we find out later many times that they lied. And that junk DNA is very important. It has many functions, and they lied. The appendix, the tonsils, these are things that the body needs. These are not vestigial organs. It just that is a very important thing to understand when somebody lies to you, to understand that they lied. And that's the problem with evolution. It's very much
I
so.
like the way you said that. You put that perfectly. And I know for a fact that you have no religious agenda. I know for a fact you're not going to say, okay, now here's Christianity or here's some other religion that I want you to believe in. No, obviously that's not the case. You made that very clear. But that's looking at things objectively, just looking at the data, looking at the facts, and making an assumption based, or not assumption, making a hypothesis based on those facts. Objective, looking at things objectively without bias. But you go to Breakfast Tacos channel, and that's the poster child for Zombie 101. You can present that evidence, which is undeniable and not debatable, but they will just attack you for that. If you say that in their channel, they will try to shut you up and attack you. They will just come at you just for the fact that you're going to disagree with their religion, which they don't see as religion, but it is. They will attack that, and there's nothing. You know what I mean? That's just objective. That's just factual data. What are the probabilities? And they're very low, and you can't deny that. But they don't want to hear it. So to me, that's more zombie-ish than I think they're even more zombie-ish than most religious people in a way.
Yeah. Well, they are the most zombie religious people, because that's
Hmm.
what the that's the invisible thing, the cloak that they have above other religions, is they have the cloak of not seeming like a religion at first, because they're disguised with science. So they wear a disguise of a universe. It's a church disguised as a university.
Hmm.
So they're constantly trying to tell people, look, this is a building of science, when it is not. It's a religious building of belief based on what the professors have been administering as doctrine. It's a belief. It's not evidence.
Yeah,
It's taking certain items and twisting, making a story, creating a fairy tale behind it. And that's very important to be able to see through. Very important.
absolutely. I mean, it's no different than saying, let's propose a bill, taxpayer funded. We're going to demand everybody, all the students, kids especially, learn that we came from a fairy tale world of the land of spaghetti monsters, and that's where they originated from, the great spaghetti monster in the fairy tale land. It's literally no different than evolution.
Mhm.
You're literally promoting the same thing with taxpayer dollars and brainwashing children. They're both fantasies that never happened. So it just sounds better. They don't say spaghetti monster. They'll make it sound a little better. They say transitional species, or you know what I mean. The wording will change, but it's essentially the same thing. It's a fairy tale because we never evolved from lower primates or lower organisms,
Mhm.
insects, bugs, or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't. There's no evidence to show that. We have no missing link. We have even no fossil evidence. Fossil evidence supports these things like the Cambrian explosion. It supports, creation. It supports instantaneous. These species were all created at once. It doesn't support that they evolved from each other. From a single cell. So yeah, that's my problem with it. It's just covered in nice terminology to make it sound scientific. That is the deception.
Yeah. I mean, just some life forms, the complexity of some life forms dispel evolution easily.
Yes. Yes.
That beetle, the bombardier beetle, the woodpecker, certain types of life forms that live together. They have like a type of sea slug that uses algae where it feeds off of the energy that the algae produces from light. It's just amazing when you look at
Hmm.
I mean, there was something also recently with it was a video talking about the first cells and how they know for sure how life started. They can trace back the cells. It's ridiculous.
I love that.
Oh man, it's so crazy. They're like, oh, we know for sure that life began. We can trace back the cells. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous. It's the fact that they lie like that. And then
Yeah.
people, this is the craziest thing is when people are like, that's scientific, that they literally will open. That's the laws of stupidity to say, wait a
Yeah.
second. So you're telling me that because this film said that they have traced back cells to the first cell and how it began and all, you believe that without any proof. And then when you see proof, it's not even proof. It's a lie.
Hmm.
You start to say, wait a second, you don't have proto cells, and then they'll say, well, and you have that guy, the fake professor, Dave, to be in the lab saying, oh, well, they did abiogenesis studies that basically did not yield results. I mean, total like laboratory, just it's like talking
Life
with,
from non-life, right?
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like talking with children. It's like
Yeah.
talking with immature children that happen to have the keys to the university because their daddies owned it or built it even. I'll go as far because some people say, oh, they built the country. Yeah, you built the control of mental system that has you at the top of Mount Idiot
Hmm.
and, screaming to everybody else that you're smart. And the sad thing is the majority of people have been reduced in intellect to a point to where they believe that.
Right.
And we're seeing like holy smokes, we're in some serious like that movie that the guy who made Beavis and Butthead, he made a movie called Idiocracy.
Hmm.
That is a pretty I think it's given some serious analogies.
I mean, we had that one guy who came on who believed in evolution, but I didn't attack him because guess what? He wasn't attacking me. We were having a civil conversation, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if it's
Who's that?
civil, I have no reason to attack him. You know what I mean?
Recently?
It was like maybe a couple weeks ago, a week ago. We had the one guy who came on here towards the end of the show. He was a believer in evolution, but he was very respectful about it. He just
Oh, I
and
think the Brad guy or something.
I think so, yeah. But he also saw
Yeah.
the fact that it was a belief; it wasn't really
Yeah, he
scientific.
like backpedaled to agnosticism, right? Like he said he's an
Yeah,
agnostic for a minute.
right. But he didn't come out attacking,
Yeah, he
and
didn't. Yeah, he didn't attack. I
right.
think
So I have
Brad
no
or
reason to
something.
attack him because I'm not defending a lie.
Yeah,
My belief in the creation of everything is not a lie, so I'm not going to get angry about it. To me,
it's like you can look at something, and this is where the cognitive dissonance it's so open for people to see. You can look at something mechanical that is not electric. So anything mechanical, like an egg beater or a something like so simple that it's not even a moving mechanical thing, something that's used as a tool, a spatula, a hammer, a screwdriver, and you can see how simple this thing is. And something that simple is not repeated or seen in history. And they might say, oh, it's an inanimate object and all of that. So it's like, so you're telling me something that's even harder to form by chance, something living now. So you're either going to tell me something living is easier to form, and that's why we don't see screwdrivers and bicycles and skateboards and stuff like that formed by chance. But we do see cellular organisms, which are immensely more harder to form by chance. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. He says, what the heck is going on with Venezuela and the U.S.? Yeah,
Oh yeah, we
bro.
wanted your opinion on that, MD, about the Venezuela situation.
Yeah, that is some serious stuff, man. We know, I would think, in my opinion, I I don't think they're doing it to help us, without a doubt. So that's first and foremost. One thing is I'm always skeptical on believing any news about the government on basically it's government controlled news that is disguised as free speech. So, but if it is true with what's going on, I mean, this is brutal. This is brutal. Of course, they're like, look, your tax dollars, whether you like it or not, are being spent on whatever we want to do down there. We'll say that money came up missing, and Venezuela, the oil, without a doubt. The drugs, they already got the drug control. So I have a feeling it's something to do with oil. I haven't looked deep into it, but the fact that, US, remember that area right there by the Panama Canal is an extremely strong position to have ships there because the Panama Canal controls trade throughout that region from one ocean to the other, Atlantic to Pacific and vice versa. So yeah, I think definitely oil positioning. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons. I would definitely say, but we know the corruption runs deep. We know that the corruption, they're never going to tell us openly. We got to think in the directions that most people wouldn't dare think. So we're saying like, yeah, the US, that they're definitely building something up, especially with all this electronic stuff that we see happening.
Natural resources. There's probably some
Yeah.
other natural resources there too they want to get a hold of.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And they're gonna mask it as if it's something else, as if it's the drugs or something like that, when we already know it's some type of natural resource, and also positioning, because the stuff that goes through the Panama Canal every day is just ridiculous. Kind of like the Suez Canal between Africa and the Middle East. It's yeah. So very, very important strategic points as far as trade and being able to get arms through. Because remember, World War II type of thing. Even when we look back at World War II, I'm surprised somebody has not done an in-depth stuff, because when they say about there's a possibility of it being happening to destroy a lot of the evidence of the old world that they would call Tartaria from the Tartars, or possibly a different civilization that they're saying that could have been covered by like certain mud floods here in the Western US. So it's a fascinating theory that I think deserves much more of a look into. Michael Cremo had printed some of the archaeological finds in Forbidden Archaeology about coal miners in the US hitting, what appeared to be like stone brick walls when they're digging for coal. So showing how does a stone brick wall be so deep underground as if it was covered by all of the earth that was over it, and the only way it would be covered like that would be usually through a quick viscous type of movement of the rock, where it's in a liquid or pyroclastic type of form. So it opens up, and this is following the science of it to say, okay, this is how we scientifically find what is going on by the features of the land, following the science, saying, okay, it looks like something flooded over certain areas and solidified, just like when we look at the Grand Canyon and stuff. And again, to think that the 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 evolution story is just by chance or by people that's actually uh, just that unknowing or ignorant to the real fact, or to what a fact is in comparison to the scientific method and an opinion and a belief. A lot of people don't know the difference of that. Like when you try to talk with people with PhDs, it really, really, that must be combined with knowledge of the books about the laws of stupidity by Bonhoeffer and Cipolla, because the second law is stupidity is independent of any other characteristic. So when you're speaking with these people with PhDs, high level college professors and stuff like that, the second law of stupidity is always to be reminded that stupidity is independent of every other characteristic a person has. They could be top level dean at a university and still be an idiot. And we see this happen over and over. Now, they can be a knowing, just a straight natural born buffoon, or they could be someone that's malicious. So now they're not stupid. Now they're dangerous, and they're going to be more choosy because they don't want to be caught. So you have ways of determining these people that are not beneficial. The stupid are the most dangerous because they will genuinely seem like they're trying to help you. And most of them will, but they'll do these things by accident. It's like somebody running with scissors. Running with scissors usually going to cause harm to somebody else because of their ignorance, not thinking ahead to say, I don't know if people ever grew up where their parents told them never to run with scissors. Don't run with scissors. I think that was the name of a Weird Al Yankovic album as well, because he knows the irony of it. It's like, come on, man. It's like, don't run with a knife. Don't point it when you're running. Keep it in the holster, or because you can accidentally slip, and you know what can happen. So basic common sense, which ain't really so common according to many people. People are seeing that a lot of people don't think about stuff like that. They're just out to lunch, autopilot, 100% autopilot. And the evolution zombie part is really, and it's not to harp on anybody that wants to know science. I love science. I love the scientific method. Science is about having a conversation that moves forward with learning and changing what we know towards our perception of reality. As we learn more and more,
Yes.
we change.
I mean, wouldn't that affect if evolution, if you find out that evolution wasn't true, that we were created beings, wouldn't that have a dramatic effect on your views of reality? How you view this world and this existence? Wouldn't that just play a huge role, difference in your life, how you approach things? I think it would.
Depending on who you think created it or how it was created. So
Sure.
we already see that if people can get into the religion young enough, they can get people to believe it's some very unbelievable type of stuff. So almost so crazy that, and not, I shouldn't say crazy, more like so unbelievable that people who study the fake religion of science or the science the religion of fake science, they will think people will think that evolution is real because they're looking at somebody else who's at a point where now you have good people in a lot of these religions, but then you have people that go off to a far extreme. And we see that religion does have this effect. We see it with preachers in America. I mean, look
Of
at
course.
Kenneth Copeland is like just straight on another level. When you see the eyes and when he's preaching, and I mean, the dude from Pakistan, that dude straight, I mean, nutcase. It just you look at the fact that people can't call these people out in certain places like that, and that's the thing where people try to say stuff about countries and stuff. I said, well, in America, at least we can say that for now. To say, look, it's nothing against people. Again, you have to say it in the proper way. To say, look, there's good people in all religions. When we look at the preachers and the people in these top positions, the imams and all of that, they say stuff that they have to be very careful because people could, in their belief, take it the wrong way and start to attack people. Just the way I say that the president needs to be much more mature in the way he says these things, but obviously nobody cares. And to see that shows me how much more of a sitcom type of actor show the politics is. To say, wait a minute, I keep forgetting this is a show. This is not a cabinet of people that are running the world. This is the show that they're presenting to us, the politics show. And whatever's happening behind the scene, you don't even get to know that. You get laughed at. You get laughed at to the point where it's like, oh, just believe the show. Just listen to the show. Shut up and listen to the show, the politics show. And then you see the hordes of zombies talking about the show. Anything the machine tells them to talk about. Oh, somebody punched somebody in the face. Let's talk about that. This singer is doing this. Let's talk about that. The president, the puppet that's acting in the political show. Let's talk about what he's talking with somebody else in the world circus, basically. It's beyond. It's so asylum. I don't even know. Like I create another classification of world-class asylum that we're seeing. I mean,
people are so delusioned. No, I was just going to say that people are so delusioned. They think, oh, if we'd voted this way, this wouldn't be happening. Like your vote really was going to make a difference. You had that much power. No, you didn't have any power. That's the lie.
Yeah. It's straight jacket city. These people are in straight jacket city, man. It just, what can you really say?
Yeah. And they fight with each other too, thinking they're really deciding the fate of the world. And it's like, no, you're not. You're really not. But they'll fight with each other over this stuff. Families will not speak to each other, friendships will be lost, and marriages will end soon. They'll end up in divorce. That's what happened with this last election. It's just the zombie machine is just, they go overboard with this stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's it really, when you think about the whole, the zombie, the mindset to say, wait a second, people are not, thinking that, one, we don't have a lot of time. The crazy thing is we think we might have 20, 30, 40 years, but we know that from experience and looking at other people, it could happen at any time. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Not to tell people that they got to be paranoid, is to tell people that they should value what is here now and care about it and appreciate it, be thankful for it, and say, this is a present. I guess maybe that's why they call it the present, but it is a present.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's like it has a magic to it. It has appreciation. When you look at it, you really start to say, wait a second, this is amazing. It's
Mhm.
the present moment when you look at how it just microsecond, nanosecond just moves forward, and we create, and the fact that we can document it and record it. Now we can study time a lot better. So we just recorded 15 seconds of time, and it's continually going
Mhm.
3, 4, 5 seconds, constantly moving it. And this is the amazing thing about the technology that's here, that it's so much easier now. I mean, yeah, we could do it when we were younger with the cassette recorder and stuff like that, but this way is just the digital. It's just, yeah, it's very, there's so much more we can do. How we can say, okay, we can get it down to breaking it into the microsecond, the millisecond, microsecond, stuff like that, to say, I mean, a microsecond is very small. That's a 1 millionth of a second. That's an extremely,
Micro, yeah.
yeah, a millionth of a second is uh just a millisecond, a thousandth,
Thousandths of a second. Yeah.
yeah, 1,000th of a second is a very quick time.
Mhm.
And yeah, it just this is the stuff that now we start to say, okay, um we're analyzing, like you were saying, what could possibly be looked at as the fourth dimension. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I read. That one person said the time was that fourth. That other angle was time.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
And what
Um,
was that? A while ago you read it, or
I
recently?
just Googled it. One of those AI versions that they. Let's see. I can Google it right now. I don't
No, it's
claim to have
cool.
all this knowledge by any chance. You know what I mean? I'm not here to lie to people.
It's
Uh,
amazing to be able to, that we could do it so quickly now. It's
no, but
just
I think it's wonderful.
it
It's
is. It truly is. I mean, the
time
whole
is considered the fourth dimensions in physics because Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity united space united space and time into a single fourth dimensional continuum called space-time, where events are described by three spatial coordinates, length, width, height, and a one-time coordinate explaining gravity as a curvature of this fabric. But not to keep going on. But basically, yeah, space-time being that 4D fabric, the fourth dimension.
hmm
So I guess beings who are in the fourth dimension may not be bounded by time because they can see it. They can
hmm
see that timeline, whereas we can't necessarily. We just see it on just going forward. That's how we view time, just one way going forward. But a
hmm
fourth dimensional can be and can see it. Oh no, it doesn't go just forward. It goes back. It goes forward. It goes. It can be. You can move around and you can play with it. It can be relative. It won't stay the same. Go at the same rate.
Yeah.
That's how Einstein was able to discover the theory of relativity. I mean, how else could he do it unless he could see it from a fourth dimensional view or be given information from some being in a fourth dimensional reality? I just
Or
don't see how his 3D mind could figure that out.
or maybe given the information or finding it, re-engineering it. It's a possibility. I mean,
Oh, sure.
they did say that he worked as a clerk at the clerk's office. So some
Hmm.
people I've heard have actually went as far as to possibly accuse him that he could have stolen the theory, which the theory I think is outdated. If I'm
Well, I mean, I'm just saying whoever discovered the theory originally could possibly got it from a being from another dimension. You know what I mean?
something, yeah, something. It's
Hmm.
kind of they're saying the fourth time, the fifth could be thought. The fifth dimension could be thought. Like, so we have time applied to space, so three spatial, up, down, forward, back, and then time, 4D, and then possibly thought, which acts
Hmm.
as possibly a fifth dimension. And kind of like, in a way, the Twilight Zone, how when he used to start it saying there is a fifth dimension, and the fifth dimension could really be thought combined with time and space. Uh, this is now we start to say, okay, can the mind, thought, manipulate time? Can it manipulate space?
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, like what can we learn from the shadow? The light, the shadow, is that a good representation of a two-dimensional image? Is there better examples that can teach
Hmm.
us more looking backward and then looking forward to say, okay, is there something casting the shadow of me right now here in the third dimension? Is there a me, a fourth dimensional me, or a fifth dimensional me that's casting shadows back
Into the third. Into
into
the
the third?
third.
So
Yeah.
right now we're the shadows or the reflections of our fourth dimensional self. And the
Hmm.
fourth dimensional self is the reflection of our fifth dimensional self.
Right.
Wow.
But it's so hard to, because imagine being a shadow trying to figure out its third dimensional self. It'd be like impossible for that shadow in the 2D world to figure out what my, it'd be so hard to conceptualize, just like,
Well, look at
so,
the shadow, how it exists. It can
yeah.
only exist in the presence of light. So any little bit of light like activates the shadow to come to life. If we
Hmm.
have multiple light sources, we see two different shadows can appear. Shadows will lengthen. It's really deep when you think about it. A shadow is basically the absence of the photons. Like, what is it?
Hmm.
What is it? Like, is it alive? Does it know? Just the way we think we know.
Well, in a sense, it is alive because it's a shadow of a living being.
Well,
So
what if it's the
its
shadow?
movements are coming from a living being, a three-dimensional living being.
But
It's
what
not.
if it's the shadow of like a chair of something that's inanimate?
Oh, oh, okay. No, that'd be different, of course. Yeah. Yeah, there could be inanimate shadows and animate
But
shadows.
could that shadow be an item in the shadow world because it's the chair's
Oh,
shadow, not
sure.
the chair?
Yeah, you could have both. You could have beings and you could have objects too. Yeah, I imagine you could in
Wow.
the 4D world. I'm just guessing, of course. I'm just
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah. No, no.
But
This is where the conversation gets good because we're allowed to think, and we see that a lot of other. We already know we're in a part where there's little pockets of people that talk about things like this, which are which are really in a way restricted. The thought police, like we know somebody from the thought police could come in and start immediately maybe preaching whatever religion
hmm.
or even the religion of evolution, saying that we're not scientific or we're not believers in their religion, whether it be monotheistic. And we already know, okay, they exist. Those people are getting hit with a type of conditioning that is reoccurring every time they encounter something that counters what they've been taught to believe. So we can understand why they're behaving in that way. Then the other people that are on autopilot don't even know that they're behaving in a defensive way. But some of them, like the guy that came on, like you said, who was very respectful, and then he went kind of like riding on the fence, like became a just in caser real quick for agnosticism. I think they know in some way. That's why they become just in cases.
Hmm.
Uh, just in case they kind of something goes wrong, they're like, all right, I told you I was agnostic. And it's like, I noticed there are a lot of people that say that, but are actually closet evolution believers, which is okay. But I
It's
noticed
okay
that.
with reality, though. It's not
Yeah,
okay with reality. Reality's got a big problem with it. So that's
yeah,
between
yeah.
them and reality. Not
Mhm.
me, reality. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, it shows me that I have to not I don't have to call them a liar, but I have to understand that they're either lying blatantly to me, expecting me to believe it, lying where they don't even think they're lying. So that's a whole different type of lying to say, okay, this person doesn't even know they're that much on autopilot. Most of the time, I think they know, but there are times where it's like, okay, this person is just on autopilot. They literally believe that anything the school or the university or politics or the authority tells them, they believe. They believe by default. So they don't think at all at that point. And these are a lot of people that we see that are pushed to big levels. If one, you keep the people asleep. So if you do the circus, so whether they're being the clown or the acrobat in the circus, give them bread and circuses, they won't rebel. They'll never rebel if you give them bread and circuses. So we're getting that from the athletes. Those are the acrobats. The martial arts, the sports, those are the acrobats in the circus. The clowns, the comedians. The comedians, the actors, the violent stuff, the knife throwers. We see that. We see the dudes in the clown cars. You know, just it's a moment that defies logic, man. The absurdity of the whole circus, the trapeze bar, people doing flips, all for attention. You look at society and the mental asylumness of society trying to get attention from people is ridiculous. It's ridiculous when you look at what people do for attention. It's just like, it really makes me wonder, looking at it in a psychological lens. Through a psychological lens, it shows me that, oh, okay, these people are going through some type of trauma. And it could be a trauma from being in what they would call the concrete zoo. I mean, you look at the electricity and stuff that goes through these cement areas that they call cityscapes, has to have some type of impact on people.
Well, not to bring up the other channel, but think about your life. You know, you work hard, you save, if you're able to even accumulate some type of wealth. You know, if you go through this life with a blue-pilled attitude, it'll tear you apart. You know, you'll spend your whole time trying to accumulate wealth, and then it can be taken away from you in a heartbeat and just really take the life out of you. You know, it's so if you go with a false view of reality, it's going to cost you. It really is. Yeah. And then you're getting taxed to death, and prices are going up, and it's harder and harder to make it. And, you know, so
Time,
yeah.
time is going forward every moment. It's like nobody's getting any younger, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. 4 years, so 5 years has passed easily. 6 really, because we're in 2026 from
Yeah.
2020, and it's like, whoa, this is a spin. Just 2023, even that's 3 years ago. That's like, holy smokes.
I could see these streams eventually going virtual, you know. It's just we're putting our glasses on, we'll be talking virtually and play a video clip of like we're at the movies together watching a movie. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's just getting crazy now.
yeah.
I mean, I look forward to it at my age. I don't care. It'll be fun, you know. But
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see. Um, I've been thinking, different ways of like, there's to talk about certain things, like with the technology that they're having. Definitely, it has an ability, if as a writer and somebody who has done media with video and stuff, there's a way to make clips that people would say,
yeah.
it takes a little more ingenuity, like I was talking to Scribe about. Like, look, content is king. If you create the right content and the right way to see it, to understand it, some of the ideas now, we can go further because you understand what I'm trying to say. And he kind of understood a few things when I was able to explain it properly. So it's all about, a lot of it is can I explain it properly enough for people to say, oh, okay, I understand it. It's not about them not understanding it. It's more about me presenting it in the proper way to say, okay, this is what I'm trying to say. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because sometimes people just won't understand it because it's not explained well enough. And that's a very important
Yes.
thing. Yeah, for
Oh,
communication.
100% agree. 100% agree. Because you have to explain a certain, so, because a lot of times people misunderstand what you're saying. They'll take it a whole different way, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree 100% with what you're
yeah.
saying.
And we have to be smart enough to see and in some type of way sense maybe what that person might be feeling to say, look, so just to let you know, not to take it in this way. Not saying you are, but I'm
Hmm.
just mentioning this just in case, so you know that it's not saying it in any way like that. In case you take it in a different way, it's not meant in that way. It's not meant in this other way. It's directly meant in this way to present the evidence to say, look, this is what I have here. And we can look further at this from an evidential standpoint. This has a lot to do with psychology as well going forward. So if you have a belief, it's going to keep us from seeing the truth and seeking for the truth, because a person might be more biased to see what they want to see, or to change that evidence into why their belief is true, instead of saying, you know what, I'm not saying your belief isn't true. I'm saying this evidence needs to be taken into account. Maybe it can expand it, or maybe your belief has to change to fit the evidence. And that's a tough one. But if you really want to search for truth, that's exactly what you have to do. So people might say, oh, some people aren't ready for that. Some
They're
people,
not.
yeah, definitely not ready for that. They're straight. Yeah. So, and that's cool. That's okay. That's okay to say,
Well, some people just, they want to go with the crowd. They want to go with the popular opinion. They feel more comfortable with that. They want the backing. They want to be approved by society. That's more important than being right or truth. I think real truth seekers, are very few. I think they're very few. Or some people just want to seem smarter than everybody else. They
yeah.
have an ego problem. Maybe they didn't do as well in school as they thought they could. They failed, but so they want to show in other ways, and they come on these platforms, want to act like they're the smartest guy in the room. When they're not, obviously. We see that a lot on Taco's channel. A lot of that on Taco's channel. They have a lot. That is like a good lab just to see zombification, insecurity, everything. I take a lab for that. You know what I mean? To see the real effects of zombified people. And people have other agendas besides the truth. You can get it all there because it's not just from him. It comes from other people too. A lot of his guests.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. A
It's all
lot of
about
them.
that.
Yeah. There's zombie over there, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
well, I mean, and it's mostly the guests. Taco's more like a moderator, but it's the people that come on. They're just arrogant. They think they know it all. Like I said, the one guy, he knew it, back in the 17th century, that this is what they were thinking. It's like, wait a minute, man, that's great, man. If you know what they were thinking, you're something else, but that's how they talk, you know what I mean? And they're never wrong. It's like, and you're always an idiot if you don't see it the way they see it. And that, not that, like, if they have to prove something more, if you ask them to go deeper into it, then you're
Mhm.
an idiot. Then you just haven't done your studying. You know what I mean? You
Wow.
know? Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like I asked, how does a mindless process create beings with minds? What does that seem plausible? And then he gives me a textbook definition of evolution, which I didn't ask for, but I was like, okay, whatever. But and then he's like, that's science 101. That's history. That's you learned that in high school, not high history. That you learned that in history biology in high school. Um, and it's like, but I didn't ask that question. I asked about a mindless process creating a beings with mind. Do you believe that's possible? And of course, he never answered the question. And I didn't even bother calling him out because I didn't want to waste my time. I kind of knew. I already knew what the answer was going to be beforehand, so nothing was surprising. But it's like, yeah, they just, you
Hmm.
know, believe what I believe or you're an idiot. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll jump on the unicycle. Soon as you bring anything up that's valid, real science, they'll unicycle and
Hmm.
they'll backpedal around, try to accuse you. And that I've noticed that what a lot of the evolutionists stream it actually turns into a circus. I think we had a few guys, Mark Reed and some of his friends, Austin Sims came on here on some of the older ones, and they just lost it. They went straight. They couldn't contain themselves, and on their channels they can do that. Over here, we stay within the guidelines. So now it just basically shows me how somebody who does that is in a state of mental disarray, that either, I would think, either they went through some type of trauma. Some people do through religion, and then they leave thinking they're going to science, but sometimes they can get lulled into these cults of evolution that disguise as science, and that pulls them in. And it's so sad because these people are mentally and sometimes physically abused from the previous religion that they walked away from. And they fall into this cult of evolution that they become very crusader-like with. And that whole atheism type of thing. It's sad. It's really sad because you see them, a person that really needs to sit and think about life psychologically with a psychology standpoint. They're not getting that. They're getting, just believe that everything is nothing. It's material. There's nothing that goes beyond the material. It's a very materialistic view that it's really, in a way, it's kind of doomerism. It's kind of like saying, just don't think past this point. It doesn't go past the physical, even though we know that we can't explain everything. We know that. We know that nobody's going to be able to explain everything. But just believe the textbooks. The fact that there's textbooks printed with certain things in it that anybody can dispute says a lot right there.
And all the frauds that we've uncovered with evolution, they don't want to hear about that.
Yeah,
they don't even want to discuss that.
And that says a lot. It says a lot about where they're at. Like, it says a lot in somebody, you ask them something and they blatantly lie. And now it comes into a few different options. Are they lying because they think I'm too unaware that they can get away with the lie? Are they lying, not caring at all, saying, look, I'm lying, and you can believe it or not, but I'm going to tell you to believe it. And that's like what they would have in, there's a book called Test Card F, and they talk about that, where the Nazis would train people, like when they would off people, you couldn't look at it. You'd be in line, and then they would come over and tell you to look at it. Because if you looked at it when they were doing something to somebody, they would come and do it to you. So you knew not to look at it. So they're training you not to look at it. And then when it did happen, they would come over and make you look and say, you see it only when we tell you to see it. So if we do it and we tell you not to see it, you didn't see it. You understand that. Because if you look over here, you already know what's going to happen. And then when we do it, we're going to come over and tell you, all right, you see what we just did? You better look over there. All right. Now we're showing you that you see it when we tell you to see it. That's some serious psychological conditioning. Serious. I mean, beyond Pavlov dog type of stuff, which they did it with. Anybody can look up Pavlov dog experiments and see that they did it. They have a lot of human stuff in there as well. I mean, it's very controversial experiment with Pavlov's dogs. But yeah, man, it's a lot of these people don't like to, these horrific experiments. They might be like, well, it's evolution, and that's really messed up. It's not taking accountability as being a sentient being, somebody that actually, I mean, you look at animals, they got feelings, and people would think that, oh no, it's like, how arrogant, how arrogant. When I look at certain things, it's like, man, we're made up of more than different cells than the human cells. So we have the bacteria a little more than the human cells. So for every human cell, we got a bacteria and 0.1 to 0.3. So 10% to 30% of something else. Then 50% human. So we're 40 something percent human cells and 50 something percent bacteria cells. So we're a little more bacteria than we are human cells, which is a fascinating thing. I mean, it's pretty fascinating. But yeah, it's getting late over here, man. I appreciate you being on, Mr. X.
Great show, MD. Glad you're rocking it every night.
Yeah, man. Trying as long as I can, brother. We'll talk again soon. Everybody in the chat, man. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll do it again tomorrow night. Take care. Have a good night.
Take care.